So, if I was to reflect on this past year as being an executive director, founder of a growing organization that moved from like a 14 member organization to a 11 team member organization, it's the fact that there were just so many lessons that were learned. And I didn't see any of them coming. I just thought it would just be a simple, oh, there's just now more money in the organization. That means you just do more things. And voila, these things are just going to happen. Wow. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see the growth, the demand in maturity, the forceful growth into leadership, and how I see why people go to school for that. I see it now. I'm sorry. Like that is an entire thing I now understand I need to go to school for. Leadership. No, of course you could be born with it. But I think you can definitely go sharpen it, and that's what I intend to do, for example. So I'm planning, thinking, cooking, a lunch, not physically cooking the lunch, but like in my mind, cooking an idea of like a change makers lunch, handpick 15 to 20 people that I've seen, whether they've been part of my mentorship, or people I've seen randomly online doing incredible things, for us to meet for an afternoon or a day, discussing all the things that we all need to be attuned to when you are running a growing organization. What do they call it in business? Emerging? We are emerging organizations over here. And so there are lessons that I've learned that nobody could have prepared us for. For example, managing different budgets from different donors with different currencies. You receive the money in dollars, it comes into rands, but with the amount of money you requested is not the money that lands in the account. And just understanding all of those dynamics. Then it's euros tomorrow, Then then it's pounds. These are all things that we had to deal with this year. Someone else might say, those are great problems to have, Sibu. Yeah, grateful, but it was difficult to manage when you don't know how to. I am not an accountant. I'm not a bookkeeper. We now, as part of our team, needed to get someone on board to do bookkeeping more permanently, right? Because in the past, every month, send over all our details and documentation over to our accountant, and he handles all of that. Then when it comes time for financials at the end of the year, he then takes it off to somebody else, right? To give us our financials, right? So very different this year. We needed to every end of the week. Then it was managing people, managing volunteers, people, contracts, when people start, when it ends, managing different personalities. Something we didn't think that we would even need to know and understand. Then it's to manage the actual implementation. Because remember, with all the different funding comes different implementations that need to happen for different programs. I often make a joke about how it's nice to write the proposal, but when the money comes into the bank account, and now all of a sudden you must create those miracles that were nice to write on the proposal because the donor was like, oh, you're going to do amazing work. And now you have to do it when you had not fully thought through what you're going to do. So those are some of the lessons that we had to learn that we were not prepared for. And of course, now that we've learned those lessons, we've got ways in which we're going to do 2026 very differently. Much better planning, understanding the full budget of the organization, putting people in place to manage each budget, program implementation, and reporting, because it's going to make our life a lot easier. I mean, towards midway through the year, I mean, we did have team meetings, but that happened like once a month. Like around July, August, they had to happen every Tuesday. Because we needed to keep tabs on everything that was going on, right? And understanding, of course, as well, that some programs are like C20, they're going to come and go, right? And then some programs are more long term because they are actually our programmatic programs, the ones that we do on the ground in schools, in communities every single day. So the managing of all of that. And then also, I think it was the fact that halfway through the year, or maybe not halfway through, like around July, around August, September, I was like, actually, I want to take a more strategic role in the organization. I don't want to be involved fully. And so the lesson is, what happens when your life changes as a founder and executive director? What happens when your priorities shift? Do you have the right people in place to leave the work to? Do you have a succession plan? You might not have to leave for the next 10 years. I don't want to leave until the next, 2 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years. But is there a plan in place? I really want to raise my kids. I want to be there for my kids. And so at the busiest time of the organization this year was also the time my kids were starting school. And I wanted to be there for that journey for them. And so also as a founder, as an executive director, what happens when this baby that you've, given birth to and raised for so long, what happens when your own personal priorities start shifting? And how do you manage and juggle that? And so I want to have this lunch because I want to share what we did and how we did it and how we're still standing, despite all the moving parts and all the decisions, the changes that we had to make. And so I want to just host a beautiful lunch, man. Yeah, guys, man. I get jealous me when I'm not invited to these beauty stuff, like L'Oreal, Libonivia, and then people get goodie bags. Let's do our own, man. Let's do our own cutesy little thing that's nice. We all show up, but we pour into each other. Because if you thought 2025 was a difficult year for NPO founders, 2026 is going to be even more difficult if we do not put the systems in place for us to continue to do what we want to do. So we're going to do a little bit of both. We're going to make it really cutesy and really social media liberal. And then we are going to do the things that set our souls on fire, which is to pour into each other, share experiences. And really the day is also about inviting organizations that are perhaps even more experienced at impact drivers, right? Sibu, you're going through that now? Oh, it's been a minute on our end. And let me tell you, that never changes. That's going to change. Give it some time. Because we also... we also need people to pour into us and tell us we're not crazy. This is completely on the growth strategy of an emerging organization. And so we're going to handpick these people. We've been seeing you. We've been looking at some people who are like, amazing work. And so we're going to invite you to come through. We hopefully want to do it like towards the end of Jan, just as a good, let's kick off the year. I hope when we do invite you, you'll accept. Because what I will not be able to deal with is your rejection.